Hey everybody, how you doing out there? It is Sunday. It is Uncle Steve's Lounge, and we are ready to talk Atlanta Falcons football. Come on, join us today. Hey, what is going on? How's everyone doing out there today? This is your Uncle Steve. How you doing? Welcome into Uncle Steve's Lounge. Appreciate y'all joining me on a Sunday as we're just sitting out, chilling, having withdrawal from no more football for the next, at least no legitimate football for the next what, 6 months, 6.5 months, I guess. Uh, we'll have to go through it together, folks. But there'll be plenty to talk about, as I'm sure we'll talk about a lot today here on the show. This is your Uncle Steve. Again, welcome into the lounge with me. If you haven't been here before, please do me a favor. Reach over there, see that little button right there that says subscribe. And then you push it, and these little firework things come out and they say, "Oh, you've joined the channel." That way, you'll be able to join us anytime we pop in live, anytime we drop a video, all that good stuff. You'll be able to be included. Also, what you can do, it's a nice little thumbs up button right there. Now, that's a thumbs down button. We're not gonna pay any attention to that one. The thumbs up button, that's the button that says, you know what, Uncle Steve, that wasn't bad content. Let me go ahead and push that so we can get you out there. And so my friends and their friends and their friends and their friends can be able to see this thing out into the YouTube world. I appreciate that. Those of you on Facebook, you can participate too. The like on the video. That will help us out as well to get all of this good content and things out right now. Well, I'm not even going to lie to you. Today is such a quiet weekend, and I know the All-Star weekend happened in the NBA and all of that stuff. So I'm not going to sit here and act like it doesn't exist. But it is different, for football fans. Getting, the Super Bowl is over with. I haven't had it. Speaking of the Super Bowl, I haven't had an opportunity to just um, send the thoughts and prayers out to those families dealing with that nonsense after the game. It seemed like it was just something totally non-related to knuckleheads. Um, just utter nonsense, man. We need to pray for this nation, man. It's just some silly stuff that goes on. But anyway, getting back to the positivity. Uh, as far as the season is concerned, we have a lot, and especially for the Falcons. Listen, I'm not happy that we had to fire our coach and push another reset button, start some things over again. But at the same time, from a fan standpoint, there are some things about it that's kind of cool. Changes are going to be made. And if you're a franchise that's lost 6 straight years in a row, sometimes you welcome change. Sometimes you will not change just for the fact for the sake of change, I should say. But it's good for somebody to come in and reevaluate and say, you know what? Maybe that defense isn't playing as well. Maybe that offensive line can get better. Maybe our running backs aren't as good as I thought they were. Maybe our special teams need to uh, Get someone else out there. I mean, just to put another set of eyes and another evaluation on what we have as this franchise. Listen, it's easy for us on the outside, on the inside. They have all the people on the outside. Oh, the Falcons are set. All they need is a quarterback and all of that. Well, there were times during the year that we needed more than a quarterback. We needed a defense that could stop the Arizona Cardinals. We needed a defense to make one more push against the Carolina Panthers. So quarterback is by far the most important need on this team, but it's good to see Coach Raheem Morris bring in his new cast of eyes. I'm pretty sure they'll have some different people in the scouting department to come in and just look at this team and see what they think they can do better. Because obviously you wouldn't take the job unless you thought you could improve on what's going on. I feel like, and let me stop. Not what I feel like. It's a majority consensus. And if you're one of those people that's going to sit back and tell us about all the other problems on the team, as far as, defensive line, you're probably right. Edge rusher, you're probably right. Secondary play, you're probably right. Offensive line, you're probably right. Special teams in key situations, you're probably right. But you're not going to win in this league without the quarterback. So those who are getting so emotional about the talk of bringing in somebody new and not sticking with the status quo. The status quo is why there's a new coach in town. Status quo is why we've had so many changes. I don't understand that. And I know we all have our favorites. I'm sure there are some people last year that thought Marcus Mariota was done wrong. I'm sure there were. We can sit here and laugh about it now. I'm sure there were folks that thought he was done wrong. I bet you there are people back in history that said, man, we should have waited one more year with Joey Harrington. Man, he would have turned out all right. There are people that thought we shouldn't have gone away from Chris Chandler so quick and phased into Mike Vick. There are people that think Chris Miller didn't get a fair shake here back in the day. So everyone's going to have their own lens to look through. But I do know this. There needs to be improved quarterback play. And I don't think that includes trying to retrain the brain of one Desmond Ridder. Is Desmond cool to stay on the team? Absolutely. I don't have a problem with that. I think it'll be hard. But I don't have a problem if they say, you know what, we can keep him around. He's not that much on the salary cap. The one thing he's right now, he's a veteran. Right now, he's somebody who has started, 12, 13, 14 regular season games. So he can put that on his resume. But when I'm talking about quarterback, I'm talking about going to get that person who can change things. And man, oh man, we got a lot of opinions about that. And the crazy thing is, it's hard for me to say anybody's wrong. I can't sit here and justify dogging out the idea of bringing in Kirk Cousins, though that'll be a hefty price tag. I can't dog out the idea of if Russell Wilson gets cut from Denver and bringing him in as a quarterback who's been to the Super Bowl and has won before. I can't sit here and argue with you about bringing him in. I can't. I can't argue with you about the Falcons staying put at number 8 and saying, you know what? J.J. McCarthy is a national championship winning quarterback. Let's see what he's got. I don't agree with it, but how am I going to get upset about it? I'm also not mad if the Falcons say, you know what? Let's ship up a couple of these first-round picks from this year and next year and go up and get our guy, 1, 2, or 3, doesn't matter. Williams, May, or Daniels, one of the two. And let's see if Arizona wants to play ball. Let's see if Chicago wants to play ball. I have no problem with any of that. None of that is wrong. And there's no need to get upset about it. It's really not. You know why I'm probably more immune to that stuff right now? And it doesn't have anything to do with being a fan for 4+ decades. Doesn't have anything to do with that. Just because you watched, just because you're a fan of the Falcons 40 years doesn't mean your opinion is better than anybody else. I do have a little bit more recall. And my recall tells me, man, Steve, they've been doing this a long time. Like when they first moved away from Steve Bartkowski, as a young kid, I was sitting there saying, man, dude, they getting rid of him for real. The Rams? He's going to play for the Rams? What are we ever going to do? Not realizing that it's just going to keep moving. The teams stay the same, but the numbers change and the players change. The names on the backs change. It's okay. If Desmond Ridder doesn't end up on this team next year, folks, don't cry. Don't cry. We'll be here. Mike Vick, unfortunately, ran into his trouble. There were people, I'm never coming back to the Falcons. The Falcons were done wrong. Arthur Blank did Mike Vick wrong after he made him the first $100 million quarterback. But Arthur Blank did it wrong. Don't understand that. But anyway, I'm never coming back. Enter Matt Ryan, 5 straight winning seasons. Matt Ryan at the end of his are y'all going to get rid of Matt Ryan? Yeah, I know he's not playing what he is, but he's Matt Ryan. We can't. Folks literally gave up their fandom. And Matt Ryan barely finished this year with the Colts. And now is probably in a better position to be one of the better broadcasters on TV. And I'm sure that paycheck is not going to hurt either. Change is good. Change is fine. Just depends on your perspective sometimes. We mess around and trade for Justin Fields. Oh boy, that's a name. I don't think we should get Justin Fields. He hadn't won any games. Well, neither have we. I mean, who's to say who's right and wrong in these things until you actually do it? Matt Stafford lost. He lost for years with the Detroit Lions. One winning record every 3 or 4 years up there. Put him in the right team, in the right environment. Now, all of a sudden, he looks like one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years. So I'm not here to argue. I'm here to listen to people's point, give my opinion on it, but not say you're just absolutely foolish. We're all about just trying to make this team win, man. Folks, if you told me there was an automatic, if it was a pill that automatically made Desmond Ridder the best quarterback in the league, if the pill was texted by the FDA and it was proven, I roll with it if it's going to let our team win. But right now, I just see so much emotion, so much. And I, again, as somebody who I felt like has kind of dealt with the ups and downs, I get upset when they lose. I get overexcited when they win. But I've been through these off seasons before. And probably sans the 2017 the 2016 season going into the off season of 2017. Side of that has basically kind of been the same. So I do want to hear that. I also want to hear something I thought about today because I was not only listening to YouTube all across the Atlanta community of not only content creators, but looking at stuff on Twitter. And I start thinking about signature plays for Atlanta Falcons players. And I started really, as we start thinking about not only the present, some of those plays that say, you know what? That play right there is going to be a signature play for him. Start thinking about Bijan when he faked out old dude from Green Bay in his shoes and put his foot in the ground and ran for the touchdown. I think about Matt Ryan, of course, talk about it all the time in the playoffs with his 17-yard scramble to score a touchdown. I think about Julio, that leap over Luke Kuechly, and I know he's had many plays, but being there for that play when he literally took the ball out of Luke Kuechly's hands, twisted, landed on his feet, scored a touchdown. Things like that. Signature plays from your favorite Atlanta Falcons. I want to hear them. Whether it's somebody on the team now or somebody from the past. Plays that stand out to you from your favorite Atlanta Falcons player. Doesn't necessarily have to end up in a win either. You know, a lot of people look at Julio's catch in the Super Bowl as one of the greatest catches of all time. That's fine. Doesn't have to end up in a win. Matt Ryan throwing the ball out of the end zone to Roddy White against Carolina to set up a game-winning field goal when we thought all was lost after having the ball on the 1-yard line. Plays like that. Robert Alford making an interception, running it back against, at that time, the Washington Redskins and the aforementioned Kirk Cousins. Things like that. That's what we're going to do. And anything else you want to talk about. Appreciate y'all joining me today. Again, this is Uncle Steve's Lounge. Y'all make sure y'all like video. Make sure you check us out on here. All right, we're going to start off. Hey, but we got a super chat coming up here. Let me get that out the way in here.
You know we appreciate super chat. Talking this and that with you. And this is what we do.
Brother Greg is in the house with the nice super chat for us. Thank you, Greg. Greg says a little off topic, but wish me blessings. My fiance and I just got our first home. Awesome. That is a great feeling, right? That is a great feeling. Congratulations, brother. There's nothing more exciting than getting your own place and especially your own home. That's a great feeling, man. Congratulations to you. Y'all make sure so Greg can keep that mortgage going. Y'all make sure y'all check out Greg on Greg Custom Kicks. Greg will and look, it's the off season. There's no excuses. Y'all need to check him out, inbox him so you can get those custom shoes ready and made. I'm sure he'll take all the business he can. Do what he does. Like I told you, he does great work. I already told him now. I need him to work on 2024. I need my shoes by the Raiders game. Thank you, Greg. Dexter in the house. Hey, what's up, Unc? I prefer Russell and draft someone to sit. What if we miss out on Russell Fields' Cousins? Would you like to trade for Geno? I like everything you were saying up to Geno. I think Geno ran into a situation, Dexter, where I think he was just in the right place at the right time. I don't think Geno is a bad quarterback, but I don't think there's anything about Geno Smith that makes me think go get him. If we were going to do that, quite honestly, I'd rather stay and keep developing Desmond for that matter. If we were going to go that route. Everything else I can deal with. Russell and draft somebody that sit. Maybe Russell and Penix. Russell and McCarthy. Something like that. I can deal with that. Dondre in the house. What's going on, brother? Good to see you on this Sunday afternoon. Dexter's here. What's up, Dex? Dre says, I'm going to say my worst moment was Freeman not blocking in the Super Bowl. That's actually a really good one. Best and worst moments. for the Atlanta Falcons. Scott Glover in the house. He said, best moment, Julio catch over Luka. Didn't even see that. Absolutely. Worst, dropping that TD pass in the end zone against Carolina. Man. We were at, I'll tell you exactly where we were. We were at this Italian restaurant, my whole family. And I remember us looking on the phone. And I think that was going to tie the game. I think it would have tied the game. Matt threw that ball. Wait a minute. Was that Matt or was that Sanu that threw the pass? Forgot who it was. Whoever it is, he dropped it. Yeah, I remember that. Definitely. Dre says, Steve, I have a great question. Do you think Morris will be able to get along with Smith? Man, I don't know why my mind is losing when you say get along with Smith. Which Smith? Tell me which Smith you're talking about. I don't know why my mind is not. Only Smith I can think about is Arthur Smith, and I know he doesn't need to get along with Arthur Smith. I'm trying to think who you're talking about. Tell me who you're talking about, bro. Travis says, congratulations to Greg. Absolutely. Dre also says, Steve, do you think we will make a big splash in free agency? I think they will. And that's going to determine what the quarterback position or a defense position. I think they're going to take care of what's going on with this quarterback position first. I think they're going to I think we will have a good idea. I think the beginning of the NFL business season is March 13th. I think by the end of March, we will have a good idea of how the Falcons are going to attack the quarterback position by either some draft move they make or something like that. Dondre said, Steve, Ritter is headed to being a bust just like Jamarcus Russell. Nah, he's not a bust. Can't be a bust in the third round. Third rounder is not a bust. He is a young man who was put in a bad situation, y'all. As much as, and y'all know, as much as I've told you the truth about him, yeah, no way. Not a bust. A bust is somebody, let's go to Vic Beasley, where you see the one flash year where he helped us out. And then for as high as we picked him very high. Yes, he had the one Pro Bowl season. Yes, he had the year where he led in sacks. Yes, he was instrumental in the Super Bowl year. But for as high of a pick as he was, for him not to give us the return on the pick we made. Our buddy number 8 right now is extremely close to that situation. Yes, I know there were injuries this past, at least in 2022. Yes, I know Arthur Smith kind of stagnated him with that offense. But it's legit to say if Kyle doesn't come through, if he's here, in 2024, yeah, the busty tag will be put on him as well. Mikey says, fresh start for Ritter, trade bait. That would be interesting if a team would take a flyer on him. Maybe a Pittsburgh. Follow Arthur Smith. Maybe. Matt, what's going on, brother? He said, Mike Vick taking it to the house in Minnesota. Man, let me tell you. That was another one. Because y'all remember that game, that was an overtime game. That was in overtime when he did that. And boy, just to see those two Minnesota guys run into each other, I could watch that play over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Very much one of the great plays in Falcon history. Dre also says, do you think we give Cam Newton a chance since he wants to play for the Falcons? Do you think he has grown up? Whether he's grown up or not, I think Cam Newton's window has closed. And I think Cam Newton, who's doing a great job with his podcast and all that stuff, seems like he's somebody, that's what he's meant to do. I think the days of, Cam Newton, I'm not feeling that. Really not feeling that. Wallace, what's going on, brother? Say what's going on with you today? Unk, I am doing well, sir. Travis in the house. Say teams are not sitting around BSing. We have to be aggressive with finding a new quarterback. The Ravens, Chiefs, 49ers, and Eagles are not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm going to get back to you in 1 second. I got Greg has another. Greg has 2 chats in here. Get him
I
in here.
appreciate the super chat from you.
That Greg says, as a franchise, we want to have a winning season. We true fans don't care about what form or fashion or how it's done. Let's get on winning side of football. Fans deserve it with multiple losing seasons. Absolutely. Greg also follows up.
You know they're gonna play.
I think Greg told me he was a Taylor Swift fan. I think he told me.
I'm just gonna shake with my super chat.
And giving Taylor Swift a lot of credit. She gave $100,000 to the family of the young lady who was killed in the unfortunate incident after the parade. She was a DJ up there, so good for her to get involved in that. He said, I loved when Devin Hester broke Primetime's record in a Falcons jersey. I was there in the dome, right below the number 21 in the Raptors. Hester was a bad man, Hall of Fame. And congratulations to Hester and former Falcon, if not only for a year, Dwight Freeney for their induction into the NFL Hall of Fame. That is awesome. Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you as always. Always. I'm going to go back to Travis's question real quick because Travis said Ravens, Chiefs, 49ers, Eagles are not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm going to tell you about the Eagles. That's kind of something kind of scary to me. The Eagles defense was they regressed quickly. I'm not super duper scared of them as I probably was last year this time. So I don't know. But in the NFC, I don't know. I mean, as much as Green Bay and Detroit and the Rams still there, do y'all think honestly if we got the right quarterback, do you think we can't beat Green Bay? We did in the regular season. I know they were a different team at the beginning of the year. But you don't think we can beat Green Bay? Y'all don't think we can beat Detroit? You don't think we can beat Philadelphia? I think we can. I think the NFC is so wide open right now. If you get the right quarterback in this place, there's no reason in the NFC South especially that you can't sneak into the playoffs and do your thing. That's why the quarterback position is so important. Dondre said, no matter what, I'm win, lose, or tie, I'm a Falcon fan till I die, period. I love it. And I know that. You don't never have to tell me that, Dre. I know you run hard for him. Wallace says, no, they're not giving Cam a chance to try out for our Falcons. Yeah, I just don't think that's the energy that you need coming right now. Wallace, another congratulations to Greg and his wife or fiance on their new home. It's the CD for life says 15-1 was a crazy game. Dome was sideways, man. And the crazy thing was, if y'all remember about that game, we were 2 weeks removed from getting destroyed in Carolina. Destroyed. And then we pulled off that huge upset. Dre says, Steve, I'll be honest, you're the only podcast I listen to. I'm honest, the other podcasts other than the one is Trump. The other one is Trump Falcon podcast. I appreciate you, brother. The support is always appreciated. Thank you for always coming back up here. Miss Barbara's in the house. She said Julio Jones 300-yard game against the Panthers. Matt Ryan in the NFC Championship game in 2016, scoring a touchdown against Green Bay. Man, that Julio game, in the same game, obviously Matt went over 500 yards that game. Yeah, Julio was unstoppable that game. And the crazy thing was we needed every bit of that 300 yards because we let Carolina, which was a theme in 2016, unfortunately, we let Carolina kind of come back. We had that game by 3 touchdowns and let, what's my man's name? Derek Anderson, the backup quarterback for Carolina, come in and almost hawk us in. So we needed every bit of that 300. My brother, what's going on, man? What's going on? ATL Focus in the house. What's going on now? See, I want to say when Ryan ran for that touchdown against Green Bay, I think, yes, it was. It was at that point I started getting goosebumps about making it to the Super Bowl. That was the moment. I tell everybody, I'll tell you 1,000,000,000 times if it takes. That was the moment that I thought for sure the walls of the Georgia Dome were going to come down. No doubt in my mind. There was, and y'all know how you're in the bleachers, like in high school or something like that, and people start banging on the bleachers, and you feel that almost like earthquake-ish like feel. You shouldn't feel that in a stadium. That night, that day, and we had a lot of days like that in 2016, but that particular day, that particular run, that particular moment, the loudest I've ever heard MVP chants in person. It's the loudest I've ever heard ever after a touchdown. I mean, it stayed noisy from the time he scored the touchdown. I don't even know what happened during the extra point and then the kickoff afterwards. I mean, Green Bay was a defeated team after that. Because the Green Bay team looked like, man, we let Matt run. You knew it was over. Greg, thanks you all. Appreciate it, Greg. Y'all just keep doing your thing. David Ellison says Julio's first touchdown and Vic's scramble touchdown versus the Vikings. Yeah, that's, man. Julio's touchdown. But Julio was a bad boy his rookie year, too. He was. So that run to the Super Bowl was crazy. KC game, Eric Berry intercept. Yeah, man, that was not one of Matt's favorite moments. Interception for 2 points had us upset, but started the run to the Super Bowl game. That game, yes, sir. Hashtag Black Glove Matt. I was in, surprisingly, that was a game I did not attend. But I remember on the radio, the Falcons took the lead. And they were going for 2 so they could extend it out so Kansas City couldn't come back and just kick a field goal to win. And boy, I was listening to that call, I lost my mind. That was crazy. Absolutely ridiculous. Barbara said, worse, Kyle calling throwing plays instead of running the ball that cost us the Super Bowl. Matt and Quinn should have overruled that. I know. You know, that's one of those things that we keep talking about. What Matt should have done at that time. Now, the only thing, and I'll die on this hill for Matt as far as that's concerned, Barbara. And I start the story in 2015 when Matt and Kyle Shanahan obviously were butting heads publicly and behind the scenes, and I think it took a little while for them to grow into that relationship. Now, by the time 2016 came and Matt bought in, I think Matt Ryan probably got to a point where, dang, where everything this dude is telling me has gotten me to this point. And including in that game, everything he said got us to a 28-3 lead in the third quarter of the Super Bowl. So why do I have reason to not believe him now? I truly believe in my heart of hearts, Matt maybe wanted to change the call, but Matt probably is a professional. And at that time, he did. Now, Dan Quinn, on the other hand, is a different story. Dan Quinn could have put the kibosh on that real quick. ATL Focus says, worst moment when Arthur Blank's wife looked at him after the game, was tired in the Super Bowl. Wow. Okay. Travis said, my favorite play is Grady circling around 285 to sack Brady from behind in the Super Bowl. Let me tell you something. Would have been, in my opinion, the MVP if things would have gone our way. I'm sure Grady to this day hates that moment. Barber says, watch they trade picks. He goes to another team and balls out. That wouldn't shock me. But the one thing I do know, if they make a big move to try and get that signature quarterback as far as one of the rookies are concerned, it wouldn't shock me if he's part of that package. It would not. Would not shock me at all. Mr. CD says, or maybe when Vic went into Green Bay and won, broke the long frozen tundra win record. That's right. It's the first ever playoff loss at Lambeau Field. Brian's in the house. What's up, Brian? Say good evening, Uncle Steve. How do you feel about Justin Fields? I think with better coaching, he could really do with our offensive playmakers. As I was saying earlier when I first started, Brian, I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with I do not have an issue if they made a move for Justin Fields. I've heard the pros, I've heard the cons. At this point for the Atlanta Falcons, we're so starved for competent quarterback play. I don't understand how anybody could be unhappy with any scenario, any realistic scenario. As I gave the example earlier, Matt Stafford, for years, look at Matt Stafford's win-loss record before he went to the Rams. Not like Matt Stafford was doing all that well. A Super Bowl makes you forget about that all very quickly. Am I saying Justin Fields can turn this team into a Super Bowl team? Not saying that. But he'll automatically become the best quarterback we've had skill-wise, talent-wise since Matt Ryan took off the uniform. So I don't have a problem with it. My brother Smitty Sports Machine. Y'all make sure y'all check out Smitty Sports Machine as he is on the verge of 10,000 subscribers. He's right on top of it. Y'all make sure y'all go over there and subscribe to the channel. Doing his thing. He said, I still think that Deion Sanders' interception in 1991 is my favorite moment. Falcons playoff win. First one I witnessed. Army moment for me, Smitty. And all I remember is, what was the dude's name? Was it Dan Dierdorf? I could just hear him in the back. Oh, they need to stop playing around. Because remember, after he intercepted the ball, they were trying to figure out whether to, lateral it back and stuff like that. Because that's what they did all year. That's the kind of team they were. But him intercepting it, man, that was a beautiful thing. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Anthony White is in the house. What's going on, Ant? He said a decent quarterback and offensive scheme will get Atlanta in the playoffs. After that, it's house money after that. I agree. Competent quarterback play. Again, y'all, we don't need Patrick Mahomes. We don't need. See, that's the crazy thing. When you say Patrick Mahomes, then you're going to have to go down a tier. What, Joe Burrow, I guess? That's a really good question, too. Who is the second best quarterback right now in the NFL? I would imagine that would probably be Burrow, even with a small amount of work. Burrow, maybe. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but Josh Allen he hasn't broken through, but Josh Allen gets him there. That's a good question. Who's the second best quarterback? Yeah, y'all tell me who's the second best quarterback in the NFL right now, too, Patrick Mahomes. Shoot, we'll add questions on. Why not? It's my show. Add the question on there. Who's the second best quarterback in the NFL? I don't think it's an argument who's first. Who's the second best quarterback in the NFL? Anthony congratulates Greg. Best friend alert. What's going on, Joe? He said, what's happening, Steve? Do you think Jalen Hurts fell off some this past season? Not only did he fall off, Joe, I think I'll be willing to bet you Jalen wasn't 100% this year. If you ever noticed, he kept turning up on the injury report, especially near the middle or end of the year. I don't think Jalen was 100%. And another thing was Jalen didn't get the support from the defense that he was getting in 2022. 2022, that defense was lights out. Remember, there were times during the year they were comparing that team to some of the great defense of all time because they had 70-something sacks this last 2022 year. So as much as I do think Jalen regressed a little, I also think Jalen may have been hurt. Because you can argue that Jalen Hurts was the second best quarterback in 2022. A lot of people thought that he was the MVP, not Patrick Mahomes in 2022. Another super chat in the house. Our brother Greg.
You know we appreciate the super chat. Talking this and that with you. And this is what we do.
Greg says, worst moment when Buddy got locked up at the. Oh, yeah. Talk about Eugene Robinson for fooling with women of the night, a day before the Super Bowl. He got the equivalent of what they kind of like the community service man of the year thing. That particular, he just got the award. Then he hit the Miami streets, man. Hit those Miami streets. I think ever since then, I think they start paying attention to what those players were doing after the game or prior to the game. So, yeah, Eugene Robinson did not help us at all. Wallace says, I think if we load up on defense again in free agency, then we'll probably try to move up and get one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft. I think, and that's not a bad idea and not a bad plan. Excuse me, Wallace. But I think you have to have the clear quarterback plan first, because there's only one free agent quarterback I think that's really worth going to get, and that's Kirk Cousins. I know I just made the statement that we just need competent quarterback play, but if we pull up the free agent and share it one more time, just to show y'all how much I was show you how much I was ready for this. Where's the free agent? Free agents. Here we go. Free agents in the NFL. There's really only one quarterback that's worth getting. It really is, and that's Kirk Cousins. Trying to pull it up, y'all. Sorry about that. Quarterback update. Here we go. All right, let me pull this list up real quick. Okay, so if y'all look at this list here, there we go. Pull this down a little bit. So really, you talk about Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill. Quite frankly, everybody else on that list might be a decent person to bring in, but if anybody under Kirk Cousins is somebody I would bring in as veteran help while your rookie is developing. If you're bringing Kirk Cousins in here, you're bringing Kirk Cousins in to be your starter for the next couple of years. But everyone else, Jacoby Brissett, the recently released Mitchell Trubisky, Tyrod Taylor, we've done the Marcus Mariota thing, Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, Baker Mayfield, and he's going back to Tampa. I think Gardner Minshew, Teddy just retired. There's no one else. Joe Flacco, don't plan on that happening again. There just aren't people on this list that I would trust. After going through, if we were going to do all of that, you might as well keep Desmond Ridder. You may as well. Mike, what's going on, brother? He said, hi, Unc, I love the run up to the Super Bowl. It was a great run. That was a great run. That was better than the 14-2 season to me when we went to the Super Bowl last time. Because even during the after the Kansas City pick 2 game that Eric Berry ran back, we were so dominant. And it's nothing like your team being dominant. And we were straight dominant from the moment that game ended all the way up to the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl. And that's a better feeling as a fan to me. David Starks is in the house. What's up, Dave? So what's up, Steve? The 92 wild card round was mine. Beating those bums in their dump in the playoffs was my all-time. A lot of people look at that New Orleans playoff win. Absolutely. What's up, Nando? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you in the house. Lisa Shepard is here. Hey, Lisa. That's a new 51-yard touchdown throw to Julio was electric. A lot of people will tell you that that was the best bomb thrown in Atlanta Falcons history, but it was a thing of beauty to see him throw that ball down there. That's a very much a great moment. Travis says the Julio touchdown versus Green Bay in the NFC Championship. I wasn't there, but I felt that noise from the crowd through the screen, through the TV. I'm adding words. Through the TV. Yes, it was, and it was even loud. Absolutely. And I keep thinking people don't remember there was actually a penalty on that call. The guy who was holding Julio on that call was holding him. So he got held. Julio broke off that, caught the ball, stiff armed another dude, and outran everybody else down the field. Crazy. David says, worse the debacle. Yeah. Only way I could describe that day. Oh, jeez. Wallace says they're not trading Pitts and no trade package. They don't look at everything, Wallace. And what you have to remember, too, think about what Pitts' value could be to a team. We still have Jonnu Smith on this team. I'm not trying to tell you Jonnu Smith is George Kittle or Travis Kelce or anybody like that. He's pretty competent tight end. And with Kyle Pitts getting ready to, listen, he's getting ready to come up on his option year as well, where they're going to have to pay him handsomely. You might want to think about that before you get to that moment. So I never say never, brother. Nando says the 1988 NFC Championship game against the Vikings. I mean, to be down and that was our version. Ask the Vikings how much sympathy they have for the Falcons for 28-3 after what we did in their place. The answer will be 0. We stole from that point on. The Vikings have never been the same. Yes, I know they made the one little run with what's the guy after they did the Minnesota Miracle. Can't even think what his name is, the quarterback that did that. But that was the closest, but Philadelphia dogged them out. Mr. CD says to beat the champ, you knock him out. Wasn't made that Kyle was throwing the ball. Mad number 24 didn't chip the rusher. Julio was wide open. Just me, though. Nope. Now, it wasn't just you. You got a lot of people that agree with you at that. Oh, man. ATL Focus says, I meant tired at work. No, it's all good, brother. I got you. Dexter says, 2012 NFC Championship game. I'm sure that's qualifying as a worst. That was another game. Same scenario, y'all. Falcons up 17-zip. Place going crazy. Julio caught the ball, caught the touchdown to go up 17. It was rocking and rolling in the dome. I knew for sure we were going to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. I knew it. And fate stepped in again. Recognized game. What's going on, man? It says, not a play, but I love the D block. Oh, yeah, man. Oh, you taking it way back. Yes, sir. Wallace says, I could be wrong, but I think the Bears are going to keep Fields and take offers to trade their number 1 pick to get more compensation of picks to keep building around Fields. Now, that's not actually a bad thought to have, Wallace, because the CEO came out the other day and said all these nice glowing things about Justin Fields. And I know they had a little package where they had some of his highlights from last year. If you read the tea leaves from there, it would lead you to believe that, you know what? maybe they aren't gonna make a change at quarterback. But that still doesn't mean business doesn't stop with Chicago, because as the Falcons are concerned, you might want to try to make a deal with Chicago to jump up to the number one position. Never know. I know a lot of the things people are thinking heavy that the Washington Commanders want to make a move with Cliff Kingsbury going to DC, Caleb Williams being from that area. Can Washington make a little slick move with Chicago to move to number one? Chicago's move down to number two. That could happen. That could happen. So, yeah, I there's nothing wrong with. They might not be. They might keep Fields right there. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that it's automatic. Not at all. Recognize Game says Allen is the second best. No argument with Josh Allen being second. I mean, if you look at it, Joe Burrow had the one run to the Super Bowl that was magical and didn't finish the job. But Allen has, Allen, he has to break through as well. But Allen is no joke. Allen can run the ball, definitely can throw the ball. Just he's very streaky. But I don't have a problem with him, number one. Number two. David says Burrow, when healthy, that's almost kind of the scary thing. You got to say when he's healthy. But part of the job is being healthy and being available. Naldo says Joe Burrow, second. Henry, what's going on, sir? Happy Sunday, Uncle Steve. Have a pleasant day, Falcon fans. Thank you, Henry. Appreciate you. Naldo even throws in third best to Lamar Jackson. I forgot all about Lamar. It's so weird how one of those games, Lamar Jackson his situation very parallel to me to Michael Penix. Boy, before that Michigan game, Michael Penix probably was projected to be probably the number 3 or 4 quarterback. 2 or 3, I should say. And then Michigan beat them, and all of a sudden Michael Penix is not even a second-round quarterback to some people. Lamar Jackson, MVP, great year. After he lost to Kansas City, all of a sudden, he needs to change the running back. You got still people still on that. After the man had a bad game. We are something else, boy. We are something else. Recognize Game says he was serving the community of Miami. Yeah, he was serving all right. I don't think he was serving what he was supposed to. Oh, man. Dwayne, what's going on, brother? Say, what's up, Uncle Steve? Kirk Cousins want too much money. But you know what, though, Dwayne? I ain't mad at him. If you're Kirk Cousins, even with the Achilles injury, you're in a great position. Because there's not one free agent quarterback that anybody's going to pay that type of money to, except him. If you're Kirk Cousins' agent, you're in a great position. You can just sit back. Yeah. Send in the next offer. Somebody's going to pay the money. Now, he might end up having one of those deals where they do the 3 years and then the third year is voidable and you can kind of front load stuff. Kirk Cousins is going to get paid by somebody. I don't know if it's going to be us. Somebody's going to pay him. Achilles and all. And let's hope he has the healing powers of Aaron Rodgers. Because, these days it is kind of different, y'all. It is. We keep saying, look, Brock Purdy wasn't supposed to be healthy coming into the year, this coming year. And look what he did. A step away from winning the Super Bowl. Who knows? Because if he's healthy, you got to think about it as a Falcon fan. You got to think about it. Kyle said, what's up, man? How you doing? He said, the worst I'm late is watching Arthur Smith tried to coach out of a brown paper bag. Oh man, Arthur Smith, man. The Pittsburgh fans, you're gonna love him. Matt Towns in the house. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Dwayne says 6 sacks on Dak Prescott by Claiborne in 2017. Was at that game as well. Beautiful thing. First year of the Dome. Never forget. They had some third string XFL type rookie playing on that end, and Adrian Claiborne. Matter of fact, Adrian Claiborne ended up with 8 sacks that year. 6 of them were against Dallas, and then New England overpaid him to come on their team. Never forget that. But that was an awesome game. Recognized Game says the business of football say we need to think about moving Pitts. That's you said it better than I could. That's the business that's going on right now. I'm not telling you I would want to get rid of Pitts. Of course not. The young nucleus of our team, I don't want to go anywhere. Algier, Robinson, Pitts, AJ. I don't want the young nucleus to leave. But he said it. That's the business of the game. Sometimes the business with you got to lose some. You got to lose some to gain some. Sometimes. I'm not telling you that's the first move I make, or telling you that that's the optimal move to make. I'm telling you that if you have something, if someone has something that you want, you can't just go up to them and lowball them. They're going to say, "No, I need something back in return." Even with Cole Kmet up there, man, Kyle Pitts too, especially if Justin Fields stays. Oh my goodness, that could be the closest thing to Gronk and Hernandez that they had up in New England. Case Keenum, that's who it is. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Dave always be looking at. They say, "Yep, Steve over there falling. Let me go help him out." Case Keenum, thank you, David. Dexter says 2012 NFC Championship game. Harry Douglas, oh Lord, trips off his own feet on the sidelines for probably. No, it wasn't no probably. It was gonna be a touchdown. Man, when we saw that play, Dexter, we were sitting there, and I said, I have a tendency to. When I see the ball in the air and I see a player about to do something special, I'll tend to yell out. You could ask anybody in the area. I'll be like, "Got it!" Like before he catches the ball. Not trying to say I'm prophetic or anything. You can see he's going to catch the ball. I mean, I got up like we would, yes, touchdown. And I was looking, I was like, who tackled him? I bet you secretly, Harry looks at that play in his career and say, I could have been a hero. I could have been the hero of that game. Because he would have scored that touchdown if he doesn't trip. Oh, man, Dexter, y'all bringing me down on this. Mike said, I also like the field goal by Morton Anderson. That put us in the big show. One of the greatest clutch plays in the history of Falcons lore. That, of course, had much more on the line. I look at Steve Bartkowski's signature play as the Big being right against New Orleans in the Superdome. Down, what is 17 seconds left? Throws the ball, tipped. To me, that's one of the more clutch Falcon moments. But how can you disagree with Morton Anderson getting us to the Super Bowl? Henry said the very last Georgia Dome game and NFC Championship game against the Packers rocked the building. Rocked and rolled, Henry. Rocked and rolled. Mr. CD said, had flight at 6 a.m. after winning the NFC game party at the Gulch until 4:30 a.m. What a night, man. I can imagine. Yeah, that was, and if you remember that night, it was storming. It was storming that night. I mean, the weather was horrible that day. And it was the early game. And it kind of got better as the night went on. But during the game, you could hear the thunder outside. Or maybe that was Matt Ryan scoring the touchdown. But it was a nasty night that night. I remember. Lisa says, my worst collection of plays were when Ritter had a 3-turnover game versus the Bucks. We won, but still, I was like, come on, Ritter. Desmond did that against Washington, too. And I know a lot of people want to act like it's a pick on. It's not. Arthur Smith took a gamble with a young man, and he lost. He put his chips on the table. He hit on 19, and he busted. And unfortunately for Desmond Ritter, he's gonna have to pay the price for that. Now, is he still gonna be on the team? I really don't know. I don't want to pretend like I really don't know. But yeah, awful. Travis said another good moment was the Devontae Freeman touchdown against New Orleans. When he got through the hole, he pressed the turbo button. He's talking about the last game at the Georgia Dome. We were on New Orleans. They tried for trying to see what happened. They tried for a touchdown. They overruled the touchdown. New Orleans scored a field goal. They kicked off the ball. Very first play, Devontae runs through the middle and gets that touchdown. That was probably one of his best moments. I'm gonna tell you somebody else's moment. Former Falcon Deion Jones, him on a Monday night game with the pick six of Drew Brees, his rookie year. Brian Poole tips the ball. Deion Jones in his first game ever at the Superdome, despite being from Louisiana. That was nice. Dexter says Kirk got the best agent in the world. People forget he was first with a fully guaranteed contract. That's right. That 3-year, $80 million contract. Fully guaranteed. That's right. Oh, yeah. They're just sitting back, Dexter. They're just sitting back and waiting for the chips to fall. I guarantee March, let's see, if the business season starts on the 13th, Kirk Cousins is going to be on a team by March 20th. He's going to be on somebody's team. Trust me. Justin says Mike Vick's overtime game winning touchdown against Minnesota. I never get tired of that play. Never, ever, 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 ever. Lisa said another good collection of plays when our defense held the Aints to 5 field goals when we played them at the Benz. Their $150 million quarterback could get them in the end zone. Now, you say when we held them to 5 field goals, that was I was trying to remember. Was that the game? I'm trying to make, because that sounds familiar too. I remember the game when the Falcons, it was the 2012 season, and Breeze, they stopped Breeze's touchdown streak. We had like so many games with a touchdown, and the Falcons picked him off 5 times. I remember that game too. I don't know why the 5 that I'm sure that my mind is not remembering that at the moment, but I remember the game where he threw the 5 interceptions, and the Falcons beat him on a Thursday night game. I remember that as well. Recognized Game says we always hold on to players a year too long. Ain't that the truth? It was funny. I was talking to my son about that the other day too, and we were talking about players when they leave Atlanta or either their last year Atlanta. And I know recently we've seen Matt Ryan, we've seen Julio Jones, and a couple of other players not do as well. I think the only couple of times in recent memory that you could argue they've been better is Foye Oluokun recently, Devondre Campbell recently, who actually had an all-pro season after he left. But other than that, yeah, I think it's fair to say that yeah, we have a tendency to hold on to folks. Henry says unload Franks, Okuda, Grant, Hollins to name a few players to save money. What? Felipe Franks? I'm about to mute you, Henry. Better leave Felipe alone. It's my idol. I'm gonna get my I love Felipe. I leave Felipe alone, man. Oh man, Mr. CD says first game in 2016 against Tampa, we lost, and people want to get rid of Kyle and yes. First game, sure enough, we did lose that game. People forget that. That Super Bowl run started with a loss to Jameis Winston. Yes. Kelvin, what's going on, brother? He said one of the best, Julio going to over 300 against Carolina. Also, Vic burning up the frozen tundra. Two great memories. Everyone mentioned the one about Carolina a couple of times. That's a good one. Dwayne says that first pass to Mike Jenkins for a touchdown. Matt was talking about that on one of the I think that was Todd McClure's podcast, Snapback with T-Mac. Snapback with, oh man, I forgot what his thing is. But yeah, T-Mac, Todd McClure. Y'all check that out. That was a nice. The worst moment was Pats winning the overtime flipping Super Bowl. Yeah, that was before the rule change too, boy. That would have been nice if we were able to do that. Would have been nice. Y'all make sure as y'all coming in here and answering the questions, make sure y'all like the video for me, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Please like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can make sure we're not going anywhere in the off season. We're going to still come to you with as much news as we can about what's going on with the Falcons. Hey, we might even throw some other Atlanta sports in there. I know it's not a lot to talk about with the Hawks these days, but we'll throw some info on there. The Braves getting ready to kick things up with pitchers and catchers. Should be an interesting season to see what happens with them this year after two unsuccessful bids to get back to the World Series with the road stopping in Philadelphia on both of those occasions. David Stark says another worst for me was blowing back-to-back double-digit four-quarter leads in 2020. How embarrassing. Yeah, 2020 year, that's what screwed it up for everybody, right? Henry says the next favorite moment is, I think he got okay, I see what happened. Let me get it down here. He said next potential moment is if the Falcons bring home the Lombardi at Caesars in the upcoming Super Bowl for 2025, the ultimate sweet satisfaction. Man, would that be irony or what? Dwayne says the second worst loss game in Falcons history was the onside kick in Dallas. All our special teams did was watch the ball spin for 10 yards. I'd never forget the look on Julio's face just looking at the ball and instead of just saying, you know what, let me fall on it because their team couldn't fall on it. Let me just fall on it. David says Neil taking Willie Steve's hands off was a great moment for me. Yeah, Willie paid the price on that one. He did. My brother Gus said that. What's up, man? What's going on, my brother? He said, worst play that made me almost cry when Dion high stepped down the sidelines. And I know what he's talking about. The game where Dion came back to this is my house. I built this house. That when he torched, he was killing Andre Rison that day. Yeah, that was nasty. Henry said the next potential moment. I just read that. Sorry. Eric says, "What's up? What's up, Eric? How you doing, brother?" Said Devin Hester's record-breaking punt is my favorite. Like I said, that was at the Dome as well. That was it. That was good. Tyler says, "Who's going to be the quarterback?" Tyler, that's a great question. I have no idea. But again, There is no wrong answer at this moment. I can't argue against Justin Fields coming through a trade. I can't argue with Russell Wilson getting cut and eventually resign, not resigning, but signing here with Atlanta. I can't argue with going to get Kirk Cousins and overpaying, which you will. I can't argue with jumping up to go get one of the top three in May, Williams, or Daniels. Shoot, at this point, I can't even argue with getting Penix, McCarthy, or Nix at this point. Because who's going to tell me that's a wrong thing with the new guys coming in? Maybe they have the right plan. Maybe they do. Maybe instead of trying to work magic with a third round type guy, maybe they can work magic with somebody a little bit more talented. I will say this. I would say all 6 of the guys that I named are probably more talented than Desmond Ridder. That's not hate on Desmond Ridder. That's just from what we've seen over the last 2 years. I just don't see anything redeemable in him as far as just basic quarterback skills, especially those skills needed to win in a 2024 type game. Not talking about the skills that won back in the 90s. I'm talking about the skills that win today. Just because you can run doesn't automatically make you a great quarterback for 2024. You need to have more skills than that. Lisa said we beat the Aints 24-15 this year in the Benz. Yes, that's right. Carr did not have any touchdowns that day. That was a good game. That was. Loved it. Then I wish we could sweep them. Been a while since we swept them. We haven't swept them since Super Bowl year, right? Mr. CD says, not a win, but Kuz 2 onside kicks on Thanksgiving night and Mercedes-Benz was crazy. It's kind of funny you say that. I actually thought about that, but I was going to say we lost the game, but who does 2 onside kicks in a row? And we legitimately had the ball with a chance to win the game. Literally had a chance to win the game. That was the when the NFL was trying to give the Falcons Saints a regular Thanksgiving game, and we didn't live up to our end because New Orleans beat us twice. Henry said Matt Bosher body slamming the punt return against the Panthers was another underrated moment. Man, I tell you what, I remember that, and dude, whoever that was, man, you can't even go home that day. Because it's one thing to say, I don't know, Ed Reed tackled me, Ray Lewis tackled me, Luke Kuechly tackled me. But to say the punter not only tackled me, but had one of those tackles, y'all know what I'm talking about, when you hear the whole crowd go, whoo, when he hit the ground. And you look up and you about to say, oh, man, he's one of these special teamers. And you look up and it's a single-digit, skinny, lanky punter who just put you down. That's embarrassing. Oh, man. ATL Focus said the second worst moment when Peyton did the choke sign to Freeman. Yeah, but they lost that game, though. So that made Peyton look worse than anything like that to me. Wallace says, I have a question for you. What do you think about getting Sweat, defensive tackle, Tavonda Sweat from Texas to play nose tackle to plug their defense with us going back to a 3-4 base defense? I love the fact to get a big nasty in the middle. I think the only issue is, even though he does move well, the only thing I just think about that, though, that they go, these days to say a team runs just one type of defense, and I know I heard the same thing that's their base, the 3-4. I'm not sure if they're going to be in that enough for me to just sell out to get him. What does he project? Is he projected second round or first round? I need to see. But it is a good idea. For a 3-4 defense, you got to have a big nasty in there. And one of the things, Wallace, as you probably know, in a 3-4 defense, if you don't have that guy, The last time we had somebody like that was Big Grady Jackson. And I'm sure you remember him. That was back in the Grady was in the Vic days. Um, Played on the defense with that team. And boy, I mean, I'm talking everything that went his way sucked it up. But you also had to have good linebackers. And we had a decent core, of linebackers at that time. Um, Starting with Keith Brooking. So yeah, that's not a horrible idea. I would really like to see what the whole game plan is. That's not a bad idea. Uh, Kelvin says after the Super Bowl tragedy, going on the road and beating the Rams in the playoffs, and not only when you think about that, Kelvin, that was a huge game for the franchise psyche to not only go back, because remember there was a run of Super Bowl losers who hadn't been making it back to the playoffs. To your point, we brushed off what happened, still made it back to the playoffs, and went on the road and beat a Rams team. Rams was the third seed that year, and we beat the third seed. So, yeah, that was a really good and quite honestly should have been the number one seed the week after, but I digress. Wallace says I meant to say draft Sweat in the second round. Okay, if he lands in the second round, I think he's kind of borderline on that. Yeah, see, Dave says Sweat is projected in the middle of the first round. So yeah, Wallace, if he can land in the second round, folks might be running up to go get him, whether you have a 3-4 or not. People will run up to go get him in the draft. Scott said, better get Bosch should get drug tested after that tackle, making it even more embarrassing. Yeah, brother. Yeah, that was embarrassing all along for that. Tyler says, who will be the quarterback? Tyler, if I knew who was going to be the quarterback, my brother, I would be here to tell you. I do think, as I was talking earlier in the stream, I do think we'll have an answer closer towards the middle of March. And the reason why I say this is because Kirk Cousins is not going to stay on the market very long. Kirk Cousins is the only top tier quarterback available. And you're talking about teams like Pittsburgh, maybe even re-sign in Minnesota, Denver. There are so many teams that can use a quarterback right now. They're not just going to line up in Flowery Branch. Like, a lot of teams need a quarterback. And Kirk Cousins, from a free agent standpoint, is number one. It's number one. Tyler said he wants just I'm meaning Jaden Daniels. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. But again, that's going to cost you. Jaden's not falling out of the top 4 for sure. That's why the draft is important. What Chicago does is going to affect everyone else. Chicago will set the tone for this draft. Wallace says, and we played the 3-4 defense. That's right. Under Wade Phillips in 98 when we went to the Super Bowl. We sure did. Wade Phillips loves that 3-4. Absolutely. And the thing was back then, Wallace, you didn't have those packages as much. Most of the time, the majority of the time, you were in there. You didn't have the little turbo packages that they go in and out like they do now. Like you were 3-4, you stayed in there, maybe come out to get a breather, but they would go in and change up the plays where you have five DBs on one play and 2 DBs on the next play and do like they do now. But at the end, you were 3-4, you basically stayed with the same guys in there for the whole drive. So that's a big deal. Yeah, the quarterback thing, man, is look, y'all, we in for a beautiful ride. And I say beautiful because no matter what, this is a new start. This is a new beginning. Maybe we get a chance to flush some of the. These haven't been, and if we can be honest with ourselves, these haven't been horrific years for the Falcons. They're losing years, no doubt. Nobody's trying to act like trying to cover it up with dirt. You can still smell it. But these years did build. And the team we have now, sans a quarterback, is a team that I think would make a lot of list of look out for after we find out who the quarterback is. So with you, I'm waiting as well. Tyler, Wallace, David, all the people. I hear y'all. I'm waiting too. Hopefully we'll get news sooner or later, but I'm at a point where I like with the Falcons. Take your time. Super Bowl just ended last week. There's no rush. There's no rush. Take your time. Do your homework. Make the most equitable decision for the team. One way or the other, we're going to overspend in free agency or overreach in the draft. One of the two is going to have to happen because we're in a need situation. We're not in a giving situation right now. There are teams in the NFL that can afford to give. We're in a position where we need. So in order to get what we need, we're going to have to make moves. And folks, it might be moving a hero. It might be moving Pitts. It might be moving AJ. It might be moving, I don't know. It might be cutting Koo. It might be renegotiating with Grady. It might be renegotiating with Jake Matthews. One way or the other, there are going to be some decisions being made that are going to change the complexity of this team going into 2024. I want y'all to be ready for it because it's going to happen. Speaking of going to happen, I'm going to end the chat right now. Appreciate everyone joining me on a Sunday. We normally don't pop in on Sunday, but guess what? With the off season, be surprised. Sometimes you'll get us on a Sunday. Before y'all leave, I appreciate everyone in the chat today. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the good comments. Appreciate the love throughout. We're going to do this all season, folks. So y'all make sure y'all join us here. We're normally on Mondays on the Monday Minutia, so look out for me tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow night, either 6 or 7. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Don't cost you nothing. It was a song. Don't cost you nothing. Subscribe to the channel. On your way out, hit the like button. Appreciate everyone here in the chat. Until tomorrow, we'll catch y'all then. Enjoy the All-Star game tonight, y'all. Have a good one.